You are a mess. You're never gonna get this. Why are you such a drama queen? It was nothing. Maybe these words sound familiar, or maybe even too familiar. Many of us as children have been raised not in a very healthy environment, and I think it is important for us as parents to recognize if we continue to repeat the same patterns that we have been raised in. Hi, my name is Kate. I'm a mom of a 4-year-old boy, and on this channel we share practical and science-based information for parents. In this video, I don't want to blame anyone or try to find who is wrong or who is right. I actually want to talk from the place of compassion and talk about these parenting patterns, understanding very well that we as parents also have been kids, and quite often we haven't been raised in a quite healthy environment. So I hope that this video will help us as parents to have a look at these patterns and probably try to change something in our behavior, because we suddenly will start to recognize it and we suddenly will realize that, oh, this is something that my parents have been doing to me. So let's have a deep dive into what are those patterns. The first, quite common, I think, is practicing unreasonable authority or self-centered behavior. Like, I was working so hard and now you're behaving like that? This is my house and my rules. When you're gonna pay for this, you're gonna tell me what you think. So basically, we teach our child that their needs do not matter. They don't have an opinion. And in adulthood, there's going to be always somebody, some authority who is going to overrule what me as a child, what I as a child want and need, what are my emotional needs or physical needs. And when we practice this kind of behavior, we always, quite often, let's say we push fear or shame button, which Dasha was talking about in one of her videos. You can check up here how we do it specifically. But basically, because kids are craving for connections, they're going to suppress their needs and their emotions as well, because they want to belong to parent-child relationships. So basically, we're teaching kids that their needs do not matter, and they learn to suppress them. And in adulthood, it's going to be very difficult to be authentic to yourself and be able to connect to your needs and really think and act from the place, again, of compassion and of understanding what I want for myself and what is good for me. The next one, super common, is physical and emotional abuse. And with the physical abuse, it's sort of pretty clear that it's bad and it is harmful. But emotional abuse can take so many forms, and some of them we believe this is nothing, it's not important. So I will talk a little bit more about emotional abuse. One of the ways is different kind of jokes, mean jokes, and type of bullying in the family. Like, there is one person in the family to make jokes at. So he or she is like always a funny person, and it is quite humiliating, to be honest. And these jokes could be like, oh, you're eating an ice cream, look, have you seen your butt? And if these jokes become a commonplace, so that diminishes the self-esteem of a child, and which has long-term consequences. The next one is over-criticism, which is also an emotional side. And it's not about constructive criticism when we address the behavior and we want something to change. But this is the type of criticism when we talk about the whole personality of a person. You're never gonna get this. You're not smart enough. So these kind of things, when your actual child cannot draw any conclusions, any positive behavior from it, because everything is wrong. He is wrong. He is a failure. And again, I want to emphasize that these kind of patterns and words that sometimes just slip from our mouth is something usually that we have heard a lot in our childhood, and it became a sort of our unconscious beliefs also in ourselves that we probably are not worthy. So we start to repeat the same patterns with our children, and probably our parents have been raised in the same environment, so it's not somebody's fault, it's just coming from generation to generation to generation. The next one from the emotional area is silent treatment, and I personally can relate to this a lot, because in our family it was not allowed to have an open conflict. It was always like somebody get upset and the person stops talking. That was like a worst punishment. And to be honest, it teaches the child that you're such a bad person that I cannot even talk to you as a parent. So I don't want you to belong to me. I don't want you to be my child. This is how it feels inside. And because it's so important for a child to reconnect to a parent, the child starts to do everything to fit in to these relationships, to comply. So he or she starts to suppress their emotions, change their behavior. So they, at the very young age, learn that if somebody is upset, this is my failure, this is my fault. And there is a long-term effect of this kind of pattern, because it's very hard in adulthood to build a secure attachment, because you're always sort of preoccupied that somebody is going to leave you. And that's going to be your fault, because something is deeply wrong with you. Another one is gaslighting. So basically diminishing somebody's experience in a different way, like, oh, it was nothing, you're making this up. Or why are you so preoccupied with your schoolmates? They didn't tell you anything bad. But it feels completely different from inside of a child. And basically we're sending the message that, you know what you feel is not true, and you don't have a right to feel this. And even the very close people, they just don't trust you. So nobody is going to trust you. And what often comes up as a coping strategy is that, okay, I will look as a person who is okay all the time, because nobody is going to believe me anyway. And I stop to believe my feelings and my gut feeling as well. So basically what is happening is that in adulthood, that easily could be a person that, suddenly has a depression, and that's going to be a surprise for everybody who is around and for himself as well, because they sort of disconnected from their own feelings. They don't trust themselves anymore because they think that others will never trust them, and it became their coping mechanism and a part of their personality. The other one, which is super common, is controlling behavior, and it's starting from the very early age, like do this, eat that, dress this. But what we teach, and when it's not balanced with the relevant amount of autonomy for a child, so we teach that you are helpless. You cannot do anything without me, adult. You're gonna fail. And that also becomes a mechanism in adulthood, like when I don't believe I can actually manage. The other one is different kind of manipulative behaviors, and there are all sorts of them, but the crucial point is basically I am doing something to expect something in return. And the truth is that neither we nor our kids have chosen to be a part of this world, have chosen our families, so we don't owe anything to other people. But to accept this idea, it means that we need to challenge our own beliefs, which we have been raised in, like we owe our parents something because they did so much for us. And if this pattern is really grounded in everyday connection between a parent and a child, then I could get a belief as a child that nothing is for free, nothing in relationships, even the closest one, is going to be free for me. So I will have to pay the hidden price. And when somebody will tell me, I love you for who you are, I rather not believe this, because I have learned that there is always a hidden price. The last one is ignoring healthy boundaries. It's like, starting very easily, like you should hug aunt, you should share your toys. So we're pushing our children to cross their boundaries when they don't want this to happen. And sometimes we share too much information with them, so basically again crossing their boundaries and not sharing and showing them an example of keeping something for myself, because there is a boundary here between the parent and the child. And that pattern could become quite dangerous, because when the child from the very early age learns that nothing belongs to me, even my body, he or she can easily become a victim of abuse, because this child doesn't know how to say no to somebody who is crossing the red line. And they don't think anybody will validate this, because they learned the hard way in a very early age that you don't owe anything. You have to do something which is against what you actually want. So this could be quite a dangerous one. Let me know in the comments if there are some patterns that you have recognized from your childhood, something that you are now struggling with as a parent. So for me, it was definitely the silent treatment, something that I'm still coping with and trying to find the way how to approach the conflict and difficult conversation in a different way. I hope this video was useful, and if so, please like it, subscribe to our channel, and see you next week.